Hey, welcome to the video. I want to talk about a game called Days Gone and why it's one of my favorite games and why you should play it. Let's start off with the gameplay. I really like how the gameplay loop works in this game. As you explore and scavenge abandoned houses and vehicles, you gather parts like scrap, cloth, sterilizer, and kerosene. You'll also gather melee weapons such as a wood plank or a baseball bat. With these parts, you'll be able to craft items like bandages, Molotovs, or a baseball bat with nails in it. But that's not all. That's only the beginning of what you'll be able to craft. As you progress, you will find yourself doing jobs for camps to earn reputation and money. You can also earn reputation and money by killing freakers and collecting parts of them called bounties. But later in the game, I felt like this system didn't really matter as much, as I would just earn more from doing jobs. Another way to earn XP and money is through side missions, by going out in the open world and clearing freakers' nests and attacking abandoned camps. With the money that you've earned, you'll be able to buy guns, and let me tell you, the gunplay in this game is really fun. Guns have a rating, and the higher the rating, the better the gun. I started off with just a sidearm, to buying my first hunting rifle, and hitting headshots is so much fun. Even later in the game, you can really tell the difference from a level 1 gun from a level 4. I especially had a lot of fun with my special weapon, which was a sniper. And with the gunplay, there's an ability called a focus. It'll allow you to slow down time for a few seconds, and it's really easy to aim onto targets. This made the game really fun when killing mass amounts of bandits or even freakers. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention one of my favorite parts about the gameplay, the bike and its customization. I really love driving the bike in this game. I've driven it with a controller and a keyboard and mouse, and I have to say, the devs nailed it. Driving the bike through the world is so satisfying, I never thought once to use the fast travel mechanic in the game. Now, you can run out of fuel, and you will have to look for a gas station or fuel cans, but this never feels annoying, it just adds to the experience like you're in a zombie apocalypse. You'll also have to buy gas and repair your bike back at camps. The customization for the bike in the game is great too. You'll just start off with a stock bike, but once you level up your reputation with a camp, you will unlock performance and visual upgrades. I really love the decals that you can add on your bike, as you'll have access to decals like God of War and Uncharted decals, and many more. The performance upgrades are unlocked from earning reputations with the camp. You'll be able to upgrade your engine, your exhaust, storage, fuel tank, and more. The game really makes the bike feel personal to you, and it's great. Alright, let's talk the enemies. I really like how the devs made the zombies, or the freaks as the characters will call them. At the start of the game, you'll start off with the basic variant, swarmers, and newts. But eventually, you'll get introduced to bleachers, screamers, breakers, and reachers. I also really like how breakers are big and bulky and tough, whereas screamers use their scream to attract more freaks to the area and add a challenge. I remember I was clearing a bandit camp, and I used all of my resources, and a screamer comes out of nowhere and screams and attracts a ton of freakers. Or in this one mission, I had to gather supplies for a camp, and the whole building was covered in newts and surrounded by breakers. The game always makes the freaks feel like a threat, and I love it. I went around my first playthrough trying to make very little noise as possible. I would sneak everywhere, hiding in bushes, and shot my gun only with a suppressor, as I was worried I would attract more freaks than I could handle. I also feel like you start playing like this a lot more in the game the further you progress, as the amount of freaks grow and you see the entire towns are filled with them. Now, the freaks aren't the only enemies in the game. You also have raging bears, packs of infected wolves, also not to mention bandits and rippers. When you're out in the world, nowhere is really safe in this game. The wolves and bears will also be roaming around the map, so you will run into them. And let me tell you, fighting off a raging bear is terrifying. My favorite enemy encounter though has to be the hordes. Hordes are massive and terrifying and awesome at the same time. But don't worry, as they are introduced later in the game. Later in the game, you will find ways to kill hordes, and it is one of the best gameplay experiences I've had in a long time. The game does an amazing job at balancing an open world for you to explore, while also making you feel like you have to look behind your back constantly, as you never know what's in the world trying to kill you. Now, I've talked my favorite parts about the gameplay, but I want to talk about the story. Days Gone's story has you play main protagonist Deacon St. John, former club member, now drifter, doing jobs for camps like collecting bounties. He is accompanied by his best friend and longtime pal, Boozer. At the start of the game, you'll go on a mission for Copeland's camp, which is one of the factions in the game. After that mission, you run into a group of Rippers, another faction, who burns Boozer's tattoos on his arm. After Boozer gets injured, you'll have to gather supplies and look after him. You will also learn that Deacon had a wife named Sarah, and she might still be alive. You will go off doing missions for a group called Nero. While on these missions, you will learn more about the freaks, but I won't get into that. You'll also be doing missions for the camps as well. Now here's where I have my biggest issue with the story, is it's really slow. For the first 4 to 5 hours, you will be constantly doing missions for Nero, but also doing missions for the camps. And that's basically the game. I'm not lying to you when I say I was getting really bored with the story, because at first I had no emotional connection to Boozer or Deacon. But with the flashbacks that the game shows you and makes you play, I started to get to know these characters and how Deacon loves his wife and his connection with her, and how he's willing to do anything for her. I also learned how strong his relationship with Boozer is and how loyal they are to each other, and that made me really connect and appreciate the characters more. You will start to meet likable characters like Ricky, Iron Mike, and more, but that's not until later in the game, and those are some of my favorite characters. I want to talk more about the story, but I won't talk about it anymore, as it's a great story and I don't want to spoil it. Anyways, guys, that'll be it for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about a game that I really like and enjoy, and hopefully you give it a chance too if you haven't played it already, and if you have, please leave a comment down below, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.